Is your life a train wreck? Is 2025 a dumpster fire? Because I'm sure using that a lot lately. I have a little mini dumpster fire just for you. You'll need Caron 1 pound in the color called Grass. You'll need Caron Jumbo yarn in the color called Zinnias. You'll need Tapestry Needle to be able to sew a little bit. There's a little bit of sewing. And you're going to need 10mm safety eyes that are just popped into these 1.25-inch felted balls that I just picked up at a craft store. And then you're going to need some hot glue, because we're going to glue some stuff instead of sewing it, because it makes it a lot easier. And you're going to need a brush so you can brush out some of the fibers that you have here. And you'll need a 4.5mm size G crochet hook in order to play. This is consisting of making the base, which then builds up onto the sides. And then we're going to continue to make the lid. And then this interior here is just a pocket that is slid in, and I'll show you how to do that. And then you'll just have to just apply this. So you tuck it in and just tap it with some glue. Let's get started right away. Let's start making our dumpster fire. Let's begin by creating a slip knot, and I need you to chain a total of 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Let's begin our first pass in row number 1. Second chain from the hook, so count back, so 1 and 2. Get the back hump of the chain because it'll look nicer, and just single crochet yourself all the way back across the chain. And please do that, and I'll see you at the end of the chain in a moment. Coming across, doing my last one. So this is row 1 of 12. Okay, turn your work and then begin your next row. So it's nice and simple, just chain up 1, apply a single crochet in the beginning one, and 1 into each all the way across. Then turn your work and do the same thing. So I need you to do this so that you have 12 rows. I'm currently on row number 2, I'm starting, and I will see you when you have 12 rows done. Do not fasten off your yarn, and I'll be right back. My 12 rows are now complete. You can actually count them. Every one of those indents is 2. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Before you continue, pull up a loop, do not fasten off, and I want you to take this end here, and I want you to put it through a tapestry needle and to hide that in. Okay, so just turn it and just suck it underneath the stitches. Okay, so going back and forth a total of 3 times. When you pull it first time, don't change the shape by pulling on it too tight. And the best thing when you're weaving in ends is to make sure that you kind of split the plies, not just go between stitches as well. Okay, so now we have that done, and we are going to start going up the sides of your dumpster. So this is the base, and let's put the hook back in and start going up the side. Let me show you how to do that. So let's turn our work as if we're going to make another line going across, but what we are going to do is go across, but we're going to turn, come down the side, and go all the way around. Chain up 1. The first one is the most difficult of them all. With the hook in front of this yarn, just stay in front and grab the post of the first one and just going in. Yarn over, pull through, and then pull through 2. That's a back post single crochet. So then you go in the back post of the next one. Okay, and this is going to make an indentation on the base of your dumpster. So continue to go across on the back post only, and then when I get to the corner I'll show you what to do, because we have to go all the way around doing the same thing. I'm coming close to the corner, still working on my back posts only, and when I get to the corner here, continue to do that. So, and then just naturally turn the project. So instead of just going into the edging, I want you to kind of come in and emulate the look. So just come slightly down a little bit and then come in and single crochet to keep that lip going. So I'm going to come in here, and then I'm going to go out there, and I'm just roughly spacing the stitches out. How do I know the spacing? If you look at the distance of the tops of these, you're kind of making the distance look the same. Okay, so just come in between and then through. So you're not sticking to the outside at all. And then we're gonna be onto a new corner in just a few moments. So I'm almost ready at the corner. And as soon as I'm here, I'm going to come around the first post here. Okay, and I'm just gonna work along here and just continue to go in between the stitches and make this as a back post single crochet along the bottom here. So what I'm going to have you do is that when you get to the next corner, do the exact same thing, turn, equally space, and then I'll meet you at the beginning of where we started. When you come all the way around, you are going to slip stitch to the top of the first back post single crochet that you completed. And so this here is now going to be coming up. Okay, so to start a new round, the next 5 rounds are all single crochet. You're just going to chain up 1 and you'll single crochet in the first one of the join, and then 1 into each all the way around. And I'll see at the end of the round to make sure that you got that, but you're going to do 5 rounds of these single crochet here, and this will cause the dumpster to grow up vertically. So I'm coming all the way around again. I slip stitch to the beginning one. So this was round 1 of 5. So chain up 1, start in the first one and go all the way around. So please complete the remaining 4 rounds that are required. So it's a total of 5. You should be able to count this. This was 1, and then you'll be able to count up to 5 rounds from that point. Please do this, and I'll see you at the end of the 5th round. Now that my 5 rows are complete, I can actually see those. Okay, so we attached it when we went around, which you can't see that round, but you can see the others 5 that you did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next round, you're just going to chain 1, and in the same one that you did the join, you want to single crochet on the front loop only. So instead of going into both, just stay within the front loop and single crochet yourself around. This is going to create a lip that is showing inside the character or outside the character. So just single crochet on the front loop all the way around, and I'll be back in a moment. Came all the way around, and you were going to slip stitch to the beginning one. But now that we're going to go around again, we are going to use the back loop of the last round we were just in. So do not chain 1, just immediately go into the first back loop. So we were on the front loop last time, and go all the way around and single crochet on the back loop of that round. And you'll do that all the way around on this round, and I'll be right back in a moment. So I'm coming close to the end of this, still staying on the back loops only. And now this time I am going to slip stitch to the top of the first one that was in the back loops. So it looks a little offset, but it's not enough to, you know, write home about and cry. So now the next 2 rounds are the last 2 rounds of the height of the bin. You were just going to chain up 1 and just apply 2 rounds of single crochet all the way around. So I'll be back after that's done in a moment. So I'm all the way back around, slip stitch, my 2 rounds are done. So now what we're going to do is just trim this yarn and then fasten it off and hide it in. So I'm now just come around to my second, I slip stitched it, and then I just trimmed this, and I want to use my tapestry needle to hide that in. And when I go to hide it in, I want to be on the inside of the dumpster. I've already shown you how to go back and forth on the inside of this to make it, to hide it back and forth. And so you'll be doing that here. So this little imperfection here, when we go to stage this up, we're going to keep that always on the back side so that the front side looks really quite decent. So weave that in, and we'll be back in a moment. The next thing we want to do is that we want to have this so it's facing towards us, because we're now going to apply the lid directly onto this. So we don't want to sew that on either. So I want to look down and see roughly where the corners are. So you kind of just follow up and just roughly guess where you think it is. Okay, and we can always adjust it, because what we're going to do is put a little stitch marker. You could have a plastic one, and you need to make sure that you have 20 across. So this is counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So does that look like it belongs? It certainly does. So you're just going to put the other one there. And so you'll be able to see it just for the first time. But if you're unhappy with it and you want to adjust it, now's the time to do so. But so what's going to happen is that it's going to eventually square itself completely off from these 2 points. Okay, so just make sure that you're happy with that first. So we're going to begin with a back post single crochet that is standing. So put it onto your hook first, and in the one that it's marked, you want to go into the back of that post and take it back towards you, towards the inside. Okay, and we'll toss that into the interior, the loose end, and we'll pull through. And then we have 2 loops, pull through 2. That's a standing single crochet in the back post. So then you're just going to back post all the way until you do that very last one that's been marked with the stitch marker. So just continue to single crochet back post across to that point. Okay, doing the very last one. You can pull your stitch markers out now on both sides. And now you have 12 rows back and forth of just using the regular stitch work. So just chain up one single crochet in the first, and just do 12 rows of single crochet, and then that'll be it, and this will complete the lid of your dumpster fire. So I will be back at the end of the 12 rows. So the first one that was joining is not counted as 12, so it's starting right now as 12. So this is one of 12. At the end of the 12th row, you're going to be able to count it too, right? You can see it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You were just going to cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and then the actual exterior of your dumpster fire has been done. So now we're going to move on to the interior, because what we're going to do is create a pocket where those eyeballs and the fire is coming out of, and we are going to position that as well. So just weave in any ends that you have at this point, and I'll be right back in a moment. We're now going to make the interior of this, and it will look like a pocket, like will be closed in. So it's going to be kind of unique. So it doesn't go all the way through to the character. It's just as like a pocket. So I want you to create a longer tail like this, so we can use to secure this in later, and you'll see why. And you're going to create a slip knot and chain 21. So this is Caron Jumbo yarn in the color called Zinnias. We used this in a stitch along once, so I still had it left over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Second chain from the hook, like we did before, you're going to single crochet back across your chain, so you'll end up having a total of 20 stitches in the end. So do that all the way across, and then we'll talk about the repeating that you need in order to make this happen. I'm across, gonna turn my work. That was 1 of 14. So turn your work, chain 1, and do another row. So you're gonna do a total of 14 rows complete. So please do the 14 rows and meet me back here at the end. And at the end, we're gonna leave a very long tail. Well, not too long, but long enough to be able to secure stuff in later. And I'll be back at the end of the 14th row in a moment. At the end of the 14th row, we're going to be done. Make sure you cut a longer tail, because you're going to use that to sew things together in the future. So why join new yarn when you can just leave that one? So just pull it through, and we're now going to create the fire before we do anything further. So what's going to happen with this pocket, it's going to fold like this, and so the eyes are actually sitting inside this fold, and it's not going to go all the way across the top of your dumpster, because you don't need to. And so what I want to do is start to create the fire now, and we need to do 2 sets of fire. Daniel suggested that I would throw in some gray, so just a gray just to kind of darken it up, and you were going to do 1 strip of gray like so. It's approximately about 8 inches, and then you were going to do then 3 strips of this color. Okay, this is a zinnia color, and because of the variegation, it really looks kind of cool. And so you're going to create 2 of these sets, so you might as well create the other one too while you're here. So I've already cut this one. Now what I want you to do is take the green that you were playing with, and I want you to just create 2 strips of that, and the green will help us to be able to separate, to know which stitch or which part that we're holding on to when we go to separate it to make the fire. Simply take both of the strips just like this, and take 1 green and just lay it down like that, approximately in half, and just tie it into a really tight knot. Okay, so that will hold that into position. And so when you double it up like this, it's a lot more to it. and you'll do the same with the other one. What we need to do is start separating the plies, and there's an easy way of doing it and there's a not so easy way, and I'm going to show you obviously the easy way because I made a mistake the first time. So I'll show you what I did. Using one at a time, use a tapestry needle that's not too sharp, and what you're doing is just separating out a ply. Okay, so maybe 2 plies at the same time. So, and open it up so that you can put your finger in between the separation. Okay, so put your finger in and then use your fingers and pull out completely, and see how it just comes back onto itself. So if you don't pull all the way through, it will just loop back onto itself. So then you'll do the next ply from each other and do the same thing. So just separate it and use your finger and pull all the way to the end. Okay, they can tangle on to themselves, but if you're careful, it should be okay. So see, now they're separated completely. And what you're going to do is you'll work your way through both sets of your fire and do exactly the same thing with all of the different plies. So my now 2 fires have the plies separated from each other, but it doesn't look right still. So what we need to do is you get and grab a brush. I'm using a felting pad brush where you stab things. And all I'm just going to do now is just carefully brush this. Now I find it's easier just to brush this on my lap because this does not ruin my pants. But anyway, I'm just gonna brush these out till I create this kind of texture, as you'll see. And make sure that when you do this, that because the way the tie is, that you don't accidentally pull one strand out completely. So make sure, maybe just keep your palms back and pinch back right here so that it won't just pull one strand completely out of that knot. So please brush these now to create texture that looks similar to that. So I'm just warming up my hot glue, and I'll have to do another take for that. So I have it brushed out pretty good. I'm not gonna worry about the length of this right now. I pulled this off of the brush so that I'm gonna use this as well. And what I'm going to do is pull back the other piece right here, and you're just gonna equally fold it in half. Okay, so I'm going to fold it so that the wrong side is facing me. So this is the right side, this is where I started, and it looks like this. Okay, so what I want to do is take the tail ends of these guys and pull them through approximately at the halfway point here. So it's going to be around the 7. So 2, 4, 6, and 7, and just kind of pull it back here. So just pull one strand through, and just move one stitch over and grab the other one. And I want to pull that in behind, and I'm going to tie this with a knot on the back side. And these strands will be in the inside of your dumpster, so nobody will see these guys. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with the other side. So when this is folded, he's just going to come out like there. So let's do approximately the same spot on the other side. And the reason why I'm using hot glue is that I am going to carefully just apply a little bit of this stuff to the interior like so. So it's going to be popping out a bit. And when we place the eyes are just going to come down like this. And so the eyes will then be positioned inside this. Okay. So let's get my glue gun warmed up and let's show you that next. So just hit it with a bit of glue and just lay the fibers on top of that glue. Okay, we don't mind if that just kind of pops out, but it helps to kind of hold that into position as well. So if you just want to pop it underneath there too, just don't interfere with the edging at all. We always think with the amigurumi we need to sew everything, but life is short. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fold in the sides, and I had you leave a long tail and the long tail will be on both sides, and we're just going to fold this equally in half and put the tail end through the tapestry needle and just to whip stitch the edge shut. Okay, so you're just going to go all the way just in this little seam here. So keep your fire out of the way. I applied my fire in the original afterward, and it was kind of harder to do. So I'm applying my fire now beforehand, but hopefully it won't get stuck on the strands, right? And then you can tie this into the back side and leave the tail, and the tail will be in the inside of the dumpster, so you don't really need to weave that in at all. Just make sure it's good and tight. And I want you to do the same with the other side. So I'm gonna just trim it a bit shorter, and then I'll do the other side, and therefore you end up with almost a clamshell of your fire coming out. So now we have the fire complete, got a bit of smoke going on, you got some flames coming out, and now we're going to apply this to the actual dumpster itself. So let's sew the fire into position. So we're just going to create a slip knot on the one side, and we'll use that as an anchor. And the other side, we're going to apply a tapestry needle. So the fire is just going to sit inside. And so you want to eye up where you think the corner is on the dumpster. Okay. And you are going to start applying, so any tail ends, just make sure it goes to the inside. When you go to attach to the outside of the dumpster, I want you to stay within the back loop only, so just one loop and coming through the fire itself. And when you pull, you're going to eventually pull and get to that tapestry, or get that slip knot that we did right there, and we'll push that through, and that will lock that. Toss the tail to the inside. So you're just going to work on the back loops only of the exterior, and you're going to work across the side, across the front on the bottom one only, and then you're going to come and turn the corner and then just do this. So it's actually only going to fill halfway back, which we're not too worried about because we're going to be putting stuffing in here anyway. And when you get to the corner here, just going to naturally turn the corner. Okay, so stay within the bottom and stay within the back loop only, so just one strand, and continue to go across. Okay, so I want you to go all the way across, turn the corner, and then we're going to finish this piece off, and then we'll continue along. So I'm finishing up the internal combustion and on this side, and then we're just going to tie it into a knot here. Nobody's going to see the interior here, so just tie it into a knot, and then just tuck any loose ends to the interior of your dumpster. Now we're going to stuff our dumpster, so we're going to put stuffing in behind and fill this up. Okay, so it's relatively taut, but don't overstuff it, and we are going to do that next. Start grabbing your stuffing and just put it in the interior of your dumpster. So you want it to be relatively firm, but don't explode it to the point where it loses its shape. Any tail ends, make sure they're on the interior as well, and continue to stuff that until you're happy. Okay, so the upper lid is going to come down. It's going to come through the side and stop here. Okay, and it's going to go across the top and join this section with each other and then come across. So the lid is completely holding its shape. Maybe just a little bit more, and then we'll continue the next part. So now I want you to come along the back here, and right where the fold is, just coming in and just pulling that through. And I already have a slip knot on there, so I can loop it through and lock that and just toss that tail end to the interior. So then the goal would be is that when you go to sew this, is that you're going to match the corner turn just like this. And so when you're on here, you're going to use the front loop only. So before we were using the back to put in the fire, but now we're just going to use the front loop only and just secure this as we go around. You can just pull on it and keep stretching it to get it to sew properly. I'm coming to my last one here, and I'm going to pull. So now I want to match then the upper fire, so use the back loop only and the front loop only of the upper part, sandwich it together, and just sew your way across the top, keeping your fire out of the way. Once you're at the end, just secure the loose ends. Make sure you tie it in, and then I've already tied it off camera. So just go right in and just pop it out somewhere else so that you can drag that tail through and then safely cut it down there so the tail falls to the interior. So now what we have is that you're just going to shape it. Okay, so just get that stuffing to realign, and now it's time to apply some eyes, and that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to apply some safety eyes. They have these backings on that are really long, but because I'm just going to shove them into a felted ball, felting is really difficult to be able to get the safety eye all the way back. So what I'm going to do is just carefully cut some of that length off, not all of it, but just enough so that I could just apply some glue and just be able to set it in. So I used a tapestry needle to open up the hole because this was on like a piece of thread that was like a lot of them. You see these kind of things hanging up in Michael's, like in the garland section. And I'm just cutting off some of the length so it's easier, so that when it goes into the hole, I could just plop it in like that. And so then it stays flush to the eye like this. So what I just did, as I mentioned, I just used a tapestry needle and one that's not so sharp, and just kind of opened it up like this. I found it, I can't get it deep enough within my satisfaction to be able to get that down. So now that I have cut these guys down, I'm just going to test it and to make sure that these guys can sink on down. So when I go to apply it, it will be fine. So I'm going to apply, and you need to be pretty quick about it, just some glue. Don't be too crazy with it though. Whoops, my apologies for that. Oh my God, I'm apologizing to myself. Okay, here we go. And just hold it down and let that sink into the hole. And then do the same with the other one. And when you go to position the eyes on any character, when they go like this, right, it gives it a Muppet appearance, because they realize that when Jim Henson is that if it's straight on like this, it doesn't give the character a point of view, but when you toss it in like this, it gives it a focal point. And so you're going to want to position your eyes in your character that makes sense for what you're looking for. So maybe if you want to have them look a certain way, or maybe they're looking down and depressed a bit, you have to decide what you would like to do with your little dumpster. So now it's up to you to position your little eyes. So you're just going to make a little opening here and position your eyes in and see what you would like to do with your little eyes. So I kind of like this time that I use the fluff. And so you have to determine how you would like to do it. We are going to be using some hot glue, so we're going to make sure that we get these eyes in the right way, just like that. So they're just going to be popping out. We're not going to worry so much about the hair yet, but you might want to position it so that there's a little bit more of that fiber kind of coming out below, you know, the 5-alarm fire, the smoke coming out. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hit this with some hot glue once we're happy with it. So I like to always have them a little bit cross-eyed. So once I'm happy with it, I'm going to carefully hit it with some hot glue. I don't need a lot, I just need enough to hold its position. So this is not a toy for me, but if it was more, you're giving it to somebody that they're actually gonna physically play with it, I don't know why they would, but if they would, then you may wanna hit some more glue, possibly underneath. So just let that dry up top, and then you can hit some hot glue underneath it. What a stupid project, So now we have to determine what you're gonna do with the hair. Is the flames gonna come up? Is the flames too long? The flames are way too long in my opinion. So what I want to do is that I'm going to just kind of trim them back just a little bit. It's better not to be too crazy about it when you start. You may not want all the strands to be the same height either, or the same length. And what I would probably do, if you weren't watching me, is that I'd probably kind of go like this and then hit it with some hairspray, and then it will probably hold its position as well, if you want the flames to kind of come up and out of the character like that. So this here would be how you would do a dumpster fire if you were that interested in working on this project. If you've gotten this far in the video, chances are you've probably done one. And you can always add more fire to it if you wanted to. You could just make more of these and shove it in. You know, you like shoving stuff in, I'm sure. And it's a kind of a little stupid little project, but it's fun. And maybe your life is a dumpster fire like mine. So, you know, enjoy the ride. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.